Okay, so Nintendo Switch just came out with a big update today. It's featuring Game Share and virtual game cards. Those are the new additions to this bottom row down here. Now, Game Share, you are going to need a Nintendo Switch 2 in order to utilize. That way, the Nintendo Switch 2 can stream to your original Nintendo Switch system so that you can play two-player with that person. So yeah, we can only join, we can't start a session, and obviously there's no Nintendo Switch 2s, so we can't find a game share. But more interesting right now is the virtual game cards. Now, this will allow you to share anything that you've purchased digitally with family members in your family account. I guess they don't necessarily have to be family members, but anyone in your family account you can share these games with. And I am really appreciating that. There's so many games where I feel like I have to buy for like me and then also for like my nephew or niece. And now I can just get it for whoever I think is going to play it the most, and then it can be shared between myself or someone else. So I really appreciate that. So like games like Super Mario 3D All Stars, you can't even get that anymore. That's selling for like $100, at least at GameStop, for the physical cartridge. And now you can just share it. So you can load it on this system. I don't know if that's like a button to like retrieve it after you've shared it or what, but and then load on another system. There are no other systems the virtual game card can be loaded on. To load the virtual game card on another system. So I don't really know what that is, linking systems. Open the home menu, go to the system. You want to go to select to load on the system. On-screen guide will appear, and you'll be signed into the same Nintendo account on both systems. Okay, so this is more for if you have two systems with the same account on it. Now, lend to family member, family group member. So this only lasts for 14 days. Obviously, you can just resend it, and they can pick right back where they left off. But this is really cool because you could sign in to someone else's Nintendo Switch and have them use your games that you've downloaded, but they're going to be using your save data, potentially deleting your save data or messing with your stuff, depending on what the game could be. You could really not want that to happen. But this way, they'll be creating their own save data for the game. So we can select. So these are all the people in my friend group. This profile is on my Switch, so I'm really interested. I feel like that will effectively do nothing, sending it to them. But I'm going to send this to my nephew. I'm sure they haven't even updated their Nintendo Switch yet, so I don't exactly know where this is going. I'm guessing it'll just be pending until they update. So you do lend. On the other system, okay. On the other system, open the home menu and then select virtual game card. Bring the system close to one another. Oh, okay. So you have to actually physically be close to the other Nintendo Switch. So this process can't be done over the internet, which is a shame. They're already in your family group, so you would think that's already a security step, but I guess they really want you to know the person before you're sending them games. But that's fine. I can just go over and just ask them to pick out a game they want for 14 days. It is kind of a shame though, like if you can't be physically near someone else's Nintendo Switch, you can't share games. Obviously, people have different living situations and maybe can't just go over, across the street or across town to their family members to share the games. So that's kind of a shame, but it's still here. It's still something that I think is really neat and I think adds value. Like there was no way I was going to buy this game for my nephew for $100 just so, and it's physical too. So I worry about them. They have a lot of siblings and things and a lot of clutter, things could get lost really easily. So this is much better. Don't have to spend any extra money. I wonder what these options are. Eject from system. I don't know why I would want to eject from the system. I don't know why I would want to hide a game. I guess if it was just a garbage game I downloaded or something. Let's see, view details. So you can just, I guess that's just to kind of track where it is. Be like, who did I send that to? Why would I want to eject it? Eject the virtual game card from the system. Save data will be kept. Load the virtual game card again to continue playing. I do not know why I'd want to eject it unless I was the one it was sent to. If it was sent to me and I'm like, hey, the 14 days aren't up, but I'm done playing, or, you know, could you send me a different one? I'm pretty sure only one could be sent at a time per user. So if I send this one to Damien, then, you know, I can't send him another one. I'm betting I can send one to each profile that's in the family group. And it looks like you don't need Nintendo Switch Online for this. So that's definitely a plus, not behind a paywall. So let's go into the settings, see if there was anything. Oh, well, I didn't see anything about virtual game sharing, but system transfer to Nintendo Switch 2 has been added. The system's data will be transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2 system. To complete the transfer, you'll need an internet connection and a Nintendo account. Parental control settings on the system will be transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2 system. So you can't escape the parental controls no matter what. You can keep playing compatible Nintendo Switch software on the Nintendo Switch 2 system. Some Nintendo Switch games are not supported, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just information. Make sure your Nintendo Switch 2 system is nearby. Okay. So let's just look at what that looks like. Yeah, it's just the normal. Please wait. Gotta wait for it to time out. Starting the system transfer, you agree to the following. Huh, so I didn't find a Nintendo Switch 2, but it's letting me proceed. Not linked to a Nintendo Switch account. Yeah, these two don't have a Nintendo Switch account, so will be removed from the system and transferred. Okay, so they will still transfer over to the Nintendo Switch 2 system, but they won't be available on the system anymore. I do have a video describing how to, you know, these accounts aren't very important to me, but if you did have an account that was important, I have a video on how to make an account for users on your Nintendo Switch without having to use an email for each one. So go ahead and check out that video if you're interested in that. Save data for the following software will be removed from the system and transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2 system. Okay. So all the save data, where's Animal Crossing? Animal Crossing, of course, is there. So I think this is not every game. A lot of demos. Okay, so it's just a select few games. So just the notable ones would probably be any Pokemon game and Animal Crossing. But that save data will be transferred to the Nintendo Switch 2, just will not be available on your original Nintendo Switch. Let's do next. Okay, now it's going to be looking for the Nintendo Switch 2, which is not here, unfortunately. So we're going to go back because I feel like it's not going to time out. Now this button we actually can utilize right now, I think. I don't have a Nintendo Switch 2 yet. It's kind of a pretty funny button to have. Seems to be calling to the server for some reason. Yeah. First, the data on the system will be uploaded to the server. The system, server, Nintendo Switch 2. Okay. Okay, so just going over it. Uploaded data is stored in the server, so once data has been uploaded, you will not need to keep the system. Okay. If you get a Nintendo Switch 2 system, you can use it to download your data from the server. Okay, I'm wondering why it's saying if, because why would you do it otherwise? There's a deadline for downloading the data being stored on the server. Download your data to the Nintendo Switch 2 system before the deadline. Okay, so the deadline is basically a year from now. A year minus 1 day. So yeah, I guess you could do this anytime. Though obviously any save data or whatever, you do until you transfer to the Nintendo Switch 2. You know, what's on the server would be out of date. So you want to do this at the latest possible moment, or at least when you decide you're no longer going to be playing the original Nintendo Switch. If you plan to keep using the system, stop here. Once data is uploaded to the server, the system will be initialized. Okay. Initialize is not a good word. It's going to format the Nintendo Switch if I continue. So so this is used for the last possible moment you have with your Nintendo Switch 2, if you're like trading it in or something. If you are just getting a Nintendo Switch 2 and you plan on keeping your original Nintendo Switch, you're not going to be needing this. But if you're going to be selling it, trading it in for money towards your pre-order or something, then you're going to want to utilize this right before you trade it in to the store. And you have a whole year to get your hands on a Nintendo Switch 2, which hopefully you'll be able to do. So I'm going to cancel that because I still want to use my Nintendo Switch. And I'm actually going to keep I'm going to keep my Nintendo Switch to utilize the split screen game sharing, which I think will be pretty cool, hopefully. But that is all that I know about for this update. So let me know what you think about this. If you think the virtual game card sharing is added value. I mean, it's basically added value update. It gives you split screen for the Nintendo Switch 2, dual screen basically, for a second player. And you get to share virtual games with other people. And I don't believe any other platform does that, but let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about that. And let me know what you plan to do with these new features. See you next time. Bye.